And what the drivers say they fear most of all is a head-on collision with a blind tube mare.
Personally, I think the management should round him up. Get rid of him.
What's up, YouTube? Hello, this is the penultimate part of Stewart Lee's stand-up comedian. If you don't know what penultimate means, you're probably from Essex. Sorry, I was making a crass generalisation about a group of people there. Let's just literally just dive right bloody in, shall we? And QVT. Sorry, I got that wrong.
I'm going to shout out some questions now. I need you to answer loudly to them. The answer to most of them is yes. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Who likes alcohol? Yeah. Louder. Who likes sweets? Yeah. Who likes cream cakes? Yeah. Who likes their favourite food, whatever it is? Yeah. Who likes Ben Elton? Oh, it's no one. Okay, here's another one. Who likes The Simpsons? Yeah. Who likes Spider-Man? Yeah. Who likes their favourite fictional character from their own childhood? Yeah. Who likes their own beloved mother? Yeah. Who likes Ben Elton? Oh, it's no one again. Okay, here's another one. Who likes snowflakes? Yeah. Who likes sunshine? Yeah. Who likes the universal concept of eternal peace and happiness? Yeah. Who likes Osama bin Laden? Yeah. Who likes Ben Elton? Oh, it's no one again. It's fucking weird. It's weird. That is weird, 'cause I must have done that 30 or 40 times, right? And every time, without any element of manipulation, more people like Osama bin Laden, a multiple murderer, than Ben Elton. I think, why would more people like Osama bin Laden than Ben Elton? I think it's because when you compare the two of them, compared to Ben Elton, Osama bin Laden has at least lived his life to a consistent set of ethical principles. Because... Yeah, clap, let him hear you. So, because people hate Ben Elton, and every now and again a journalist has the courage to ask him why this is. I've seen it happen twice in print, and once on Parkinson. Parkinson said to him, he said to Ben Elton, why do you think everyone hates you? And Ben Elton said, he did. And Ben Elton said, well, Michael, it's because in this country, people don't like success. But he was wrong about that. The real answer is much more simple. It's just that in this country, people don't like Ben Elton. And they don't hate him through the kind of conduit of the notion of success. They hate him entirely on his own terms because of who he is and the bad things that he's done. And I think if you're my age, you can kind of understand why it is. Because if you're over 35, you'll remember before alternative comedy, when you'd watch comedians and it had no kind of relevance to you, you didn't understand what they were talking about or who they were. And then the young ones came along and all that with Ben Elton, and you felt, oh, at last, something for us. And then, of course, over the years, Ben Elton's changed. He's worked with Queen, who were one of the British bands that broke the cultural embargo on South Africa under apartheid. He's worked with Andrew Lloyd Webber, who's worse than that. And a song that they co-wrote was performed at the inauguration of George Bush, and when questioned about it, Ben Elton said he didn't see it so much as a celebration of George Bush as a celebration of the President of the United States of America. But of course, they're the same thing. That's why that argument doesn't work. The problem is he's been kind of compromised by a proximity to success, and if you think about it, all the great comedians are kind of outsider figures commenting on society from outside, kind of holy fools, shaman clowns, outsiders. Spike Milligan was able to remain an outsider by virtue of having long-term mental illness problems. Bill Hicks has been able to remain an outsider because he died of cancer at the age of 33. Michael Barrymore has been able to remain an outsider by becoming the subject of a murder investigation after a man was found dead in his pool. And I admire Barrymore's commitment to this abstract notion of the outsider shaman clown figure, and I think it's good that he's saying it's great to be this late at night in Glasgow talking about this idea. But lately I have more sympathy for what we in the trade call Elton's compromise. Because in the last few years I directed a show, and it was a kind of hit in the West End, and I had to meet loads of famous people on press nights and opening nights. I met Bonnie Langford. Yeah, I met her twice. I met the tall one from the 3 Degrees, Sheila, something her name is. And one night I found myself shaking hands before I realised who it was, with Michael Portillo, right? I looked up, I thought it was the little wooden goblin from the Cuprinol advert. But it was Michael Portillo, someone whose policies I had marched against as a student, or would have done if I hadn't been drunk. With theoretically... But there was worse to come than Portillo. On June the 16th last year, I heard a rumour that Sherry Blair was going to come and see the show, right? And I thought, well, I hope that's not the case. You know, I don't want to have to meet her, because I'm one of 2 million Britons that marched against her husband's war. I think it's unethical. It's going to come back and bite us in the ass, and we'll be in trouble about it for decades once the dust settles. And I don't want to have to be like some E-list celebrity New Labour apologist. I don't want to meet him. No way. And then the next day, the woman from the public relations company for the show rang me up and she said, I've got some great news. Sherry Blair is coming to see the show and she wants to meet the cast and the creative team afterwards. And I went, I'm sorry, I can't do it. This is where I draw a line, you know. I said, you don't even want me in the building. If I'm there, I'm going to get kind of political Tourette's syndrome and just do something like fly an anti-war banner off the stage or make a speech at the end or just do something to Sherry Blair that'll wipe that, whatever that is, on her face, you know. Make it go. And she said, well, that's a shame because does this change your mind? She said, she's not coming on her own. She's coming with her guest, who is the president of Scope, the Spastic Society. Right, and this honestly happened. I was put in this weird position where you want to make some ineffectual gesture against Sherry Blair, but you don't want to snub a person from a worthwhile charity, Scope, you know. So I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I'll go down. And after the show, I'll say to Sherry Blair, I hope you're happy, Sherry. I hope when you look across at Tony every morning, you think of all those thousands of people killed in his war. And I hope you're happy when you think of all those little kids in Baghdad and Basra with their arms and legs blown off, maimed, crippled for life. Then I'll turn to the woman from Scope and I'll go, maybe you could have a rummage around in one of your charity shops, see if you can find them some cardigans. But in the end, I didn't do that. What I did was, I said that I would go. No, I just didn't. Yeah. But we're back talking about the war again, last bit. And like I say, there's this kind of assumption, I think, from us here in Europe, where we look at, particularly in Britain, where we look at America's hysterical reaction to the 9th of November and we think, well, you know, that wouldn't happen here. We wouldn't do that because we're reasonable, sensible people in Britain. But we don't have to look very far back in our own cultural history to see an example of us losing the plot as a nation. And I'm talking, of course, about the death of Princess Diana, the late Princess of Wales. It was in the news again last summer because of the Princess Diana Memorial Fountain, which you'll remember was a rubbish fountain. And fulfilled very few of the job description criteria of fountains. But it's ongoing. It never goes away. I remember when she died. It was about 2 days before the state funeral. I went down to Kensington Palace, where Princess Diana had lived, to look at all the tributes left outside, you know. And in amongst all the bunches of flowers and sympathy cards and poems little kids had written and drawings and paintings people had done, whatever. In amongst all that, I honestly saw, and this is true, I saw a life-size inflatable model of E.T. Was honestly there outside Kensington Palace 2 days before the state funeral, and I stood there looking at the inflatable E.T. for some 40 or 50 minutes. And I thought to myself, how did that get there? Who would have thought that that was an appropriate gesture?
Brilliant. Right, great. So one more little section to go, and I'm going to do, or will have done from your perspective, I'm going to put pictures in of the people he's talking about, because I love the way he goes from sort of Spike Milligan at one end of the spectrum to Barrymore at the other end of the spectrum. And I think probably one of my favourite jokes of his ever is about Cherie Blair's thing, twisted grimace of death when she smiles. So brilliant stuff. And really, I didn't edit it very well because it sort of goes into the very last section slightly, but you know, I had to get the amount of time right in all the videos, and I didn't. So sorry about that. Anyway, let's not end on a sour note. So thank you very much for watching, and the last part is coming out soon. So don't nobody go nowhere.
And in a statement issued just 10 minutes ago, the Home Secretary announced that he personally will be going into the tunnels this weekend, armed with a special gun.